All right, welcome back to the program on a Free-for-All Friday. Of course, the headlines are all about Trump and Elon. And it's interesting. It's a circus. It's a sideshow. Get the popcorn, have fun. But there are, trust me, more serious things. Well, I will tell you, I agree with Elon on the fact that we need to get some of the spending out of this bill. And they will, because Ron Johnson and Rick Scott and others will make sure that happens. But while that's going on, I still think the biggest story that I've seen in a long time unrolled here just in the last few days, and that is these two Chinese students from the University of Michigan bringing this fungus into the country that would cause head blight. And it would impact wheat, corn, rice, and barley. It could knock yields down by half or more if they made a strain that was resistant to fungicide. Pretty remarkable. My next guest I saw flying home with me on the plane from Washington, Mike Rogers, Army veteran, businessman, former FBI special agent, and a candidate for the United States Senate. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, sir. I hope you had a good flight.
I did. It's a short flight, and you just never know on that particular flight between Detroit and D.C. who you're going to see. I saw 4 members of Congress going one way and you coming back the other. It's always a chance to talk to some folks. But I just want to circle this whole agroterrorism deal. Look, I've talked to several farmers. Right now there are fungicides that basically control this problem, right, of this rot, this fungus that gets on grain crops. But if a stronger fungicide-resistant pathogen was created, it could trigger a famine, and they're not kidding. They said you could knock down the corn crop, the wheat crop, the rice crop in America, which is bigger than most people realize, and create a destruction of the American food supply. I mean, it's a really serious thing that not nearly enough people are talking about. What say you?
I couldn't agree more, and this is just turns the light on for a minute about how aggressive the Chinese intelligence services and the Communist Party cause harm. And as reported, these folks were talking about their desire to hurt the American economy. And if you think about it, so these folks were Chinese nationals who had student visas. They clearly had lied on those student visas by their association with intelligence services, which, by the way, which should mean you get tossed out immediately. But they purposely were bringing this in and having conversations about hurting the American economy. I mean, this is as dangerous as it gets. And, you know, we had the gotaways who came across the border, the number of Chinese, young male Chinese who cross the border that they just don't know who they are or where they are, and knowing how aggressive this operation was should give us all a little bit of pause. And so
there were
that's
hundreds.
Why we've got to get a handle on it.
You make a great point, Mike. There were hundreds. There was one, I don't know the point off the top of my head, but there was a particular point on the border where the Chinese nationals were coming in illegally because they came into that same point. They had written instructions on how to get to where they needed to be. I mean, it was all laid out for them. I don't think that was by accident by any means. And here's just something on the side to this disease, by the way. The Justice Department says this fungus also causes vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive damage in humans as well. I mean, this pathogen was not just a danger to our food supply, it was a danger to us and to livestock. And you make a great point. Where is everybody else that came in illegally from China, and whose instructions are they running on? Because I can guarantee you they're not ours.
No, so completely true. And they are so aggressive about this. Even if a Chinese national comes and says, hey, I just want to work at my dad's business here, or my grandfather or my uncle, whatever. Right. What happens is, even if you go through the legal process, what the Chinese have been doing, and by the way, they caught 2 U.S. sailors who were ethnic Chinese but had family in China. They threatened their family if they didn't give up secret documents about a particular Navy ship, which they ended up doing and got caught. Thankfully, they're in jail. But if you think about how aggressive that is, we even had a case not that long ago in the hotbed of international espionage, Dayton, Ohio, where a guy was, a Chinese intelligence officer was running a stable of these agents, and one of them they convinced to join the U.S. Army. They had a program a while back where you could get a secret clearance if you joined the Army and went through boot camp and signed a 6-year commitment. And then he went back to a university that had ties to our national lab, and he was trying to use his secret clearance to gain access to other people's credentials to get into computer networks, and then sending that information back to the intelligence services in China so they could use cyber penetration into these networks. It was pretty complicated, and you think about it, it was pretty innocuous. He wasn't even stealing documents. His whole purpose was to steal your password, your username of these networks, so they could get into these.
So it'd be handed off to the next group of
national lab, very sensitive information.
Yeah, so it'd be handed off to the next group of people that can do research. There's no question. China is our biggest adversary. And I was at a West Point graduation here a couple of weeks ago now. I was shocked by the number of what appeared to be Chinese, they could be Asian students, but just the number, and you have to wonder. I'm sorry, I'm in a day and age where you have to wonder, who are you working for? You working for America? You're working for somebody else. Anyhow, Mike, greatly appreciate you being here. You got about 30 seconds here. How's the campaign going?
Phenomenal. We're getting ready to announce very soon all of our statewide co-chairs for each county. Lots and lots of progress. People are coming in at rogersforsenate.com, signing up. This is the chance that we get to get America right for the next generation. That's why this race is so important, and we hope people get out there, get engaged, get involved. This is our chance to beat the Democrats. They have 4 really liberal people announced in the Democrat U.S. Senate primary. We have got to use this time to build our network to win this race.
There you go. Mike Rogers, greatly appreciate it. Nice seeing you yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, it was great to see you as well.
Good to see you. All right, so we'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a Free-for-All Friday. Your phone calls at 877-310-9966.